Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. This is the podcast about nothing. My name is Corey Phillips, and today I've got Chris Orth here, the founder of Lightyear Productions. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
Doing good, dude. So, what do you want to talk about today? You want to do some E3 predictions and shit?
Yeah, let's try and do our predictions. Sounds like a good idea.
Cool. So, I have loaded up here a list of all the games that are confirmed and announced at E3. I'm not going to go through all of them just because there's a fuckload of them, but we'll start. We'll start with EA. What are you expecting from EA? Things that bounce off the sheet right away is going to
Well,
be
uh,
Battlefield for me.
yeah, well, EA, you can pretty much expect to see all the yearly sports games. So your FIFA, NHL, NBA, all the sports games. That's a guarantee.
Yeah, for sure.
But what I'd expect to see is them maybe putting on display a lengthy video or showcase of Anthem.
Okay. Do you think that they're
Uh,
going to bite into that after the fail of Mass Effect Andromeda?
yeah, Mass Effect Andromeda did bomb. I'll say. I think I think they're going to be banking on Anthem. From last year's E3, what they showed, it got everyone hyped, it got everyone excited for this game, and it's it's looking really from the trailer that they showed last year and like the hype behind it. It could be something really special.
Yeah, I agree with that. Another one that I was looking at too was we got Battlefield 5, and of course, like you said, the sports games. That's an obvious one, but The Sims 4 is another one that came out as well. They're looking at doing a console version of that. Any thoughts on that?
Uh, well, isn't that already out?
Well, they're expecting another Sims to come to console, like a new one.
Oh, okay, okay, I see. Well, The Sims obviously originated on the PC, and for PC games to make the transition to console, it's it's going to be tough. So
Yeah.
like you have 7 Days to Die. That was originally a PC game, and you can tell that it was originally a PC game
Yeah.
on the console version.
Even look at like PUBG
Uh,
and shit too. That's that runs horribly on Xbox. It runs great on PC.
yeah, so they need to do it right, I'll say, because with The Sims 4 on console, it had a lot of bugs.
Yeah.
So if they can work out those bugs, then they can run it smooth. It can be what they want it to be.
Well, and they've got a niche market for that kind of game, right? There is a lot of fans of the Sims franchise.
Well, I'll be honest. I bought The Sims 4, and I've been playing a little bit, and I'm into it. Like I miss The Sims. I played The Sims 1 back like on like a old PC,
Yeah.
and I remember it was The Sims Deluxe Edition, the very first Sims, and back when you could barely do anything with your sim. And I missed it. I missed being able to have just a virtual life, a sim.
Yeah. So let's
And
circle back to that then. If they do it correctly, are you buying this game?
it's quite possible.
Okay.
I like it'll be strange. I'll say it'll be strange playing on a console because I'm familiar with just playing on the PC for The Sims.
Okay.
Uh, it's it's one of those things that you need to grow, you need to expand, I guess.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you need to keep an open mind.
All right. And then what about Battlefield 5 real quick before we move on?
Oh, okay. I'm not the guy to ask about Battlefield because I'm not. I haven't played them all. Like
Okay.
I shouldn't like I have bought them all, but I haven't played them enough to get into them. They're fantastic games. They're fantastic. Like, they put a lot of work into them. I love the idea of the destructible environments. I love the weapons, the warfare, the like just the entire game, the concept. It's just a fantastic game.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
I suck at them.
I'm in the exact same boat as you. I like the idea. I like the premise of it. It feels more real than Call of Duty. And I've bought multiple of these games as well, and I just suck at them. I fucking suck at them, and I wish I was good because back in the day, like Bad Company 2, that was my shit. I loved that game, but they just haven't found a return to form for me anyway, and I don't think I'm buying this one.
See, I think the one Battlefield game I got really into was Hardline, and I think that was one of their, I'm gonna say, worst games of the Battlefield franchise.
Yeah, arguably.
And I don't know why. Like, that's the one I really got into. Like, I don't know what it was. It was like, no, it felt like every other Battlefield, but why can't I get into the others?
Yeah, maybe it was because it had a little twist on it, the cops and robbers thing. I don't know. I actually enjoyed
Yeah,
Hardline as well for as much shit that it got. It's nice to play something different. I don't need World War II every year. I don't need jump packs from Call of Duty every year, shit like that. Like, it's nice to have a change of pace.
yeah,
All right,
yeah.
so we'll move on to let's see, what's next? We got Microsoft on Sunday. They're a big one for me. I think that they're going to bring the heat because Sony's already, last year they stole the show, and with all their exclusives doing so well, like God of War, Detroit Become Human, we've still got Spider-Man in the can, we've still got Death Stranding and Days Gone. I expect Microsoft to really bring it. I'm expecting Halo,
So,
I'm expecting Gears, I'm expecting Forza, I'm expecting Crackdown 3. I'm even expecting some VR shit. I'm expecting some sort of merger with Oculus. What are your thoughts on Microsoft? What can they do to really impress you this year?
okay, so big things with, I'm expecting big things as well from Microsoft. Late last year, Microsoft admitted that its first party offerings were thin. And to kind of remedy that, Microsoft said that they're going to be buying studios and games so that they have all those other choices. Rare plans for keeping Sea of Thieves player busy, but it's just their first expansion for Sea of Thieves is going to be out. If it's not already out, I'm not quite sure about that. We haven't heard anything about Crackdown 3 in a while, and Microsoft promised that that'd be out in time of springtime-ish.
Mm-hmm.
And if they do give a release date for Crackdown 3, that's going to be big. Hey, obviously Halo 6. If they show Halo 6 again, big exclusive. Gears of War 5. Obviously another big name. See here. There's going to be a game called Goblets. Or no, Oblets, sorry, Oblets for the Xbox One and PC. Not quite sure what that's going to be. It's going to get shown off at the Microsoft press conference, and we happy few. That's been almost. I almost want to say crowdfunded, but not crowdfunded. It's been.
That thing's been in the making for years now.
Absolutely, yeah.
I was reading an article the other day actually about Gears of War. apparently Microsoft has patented 3 separate Gears of War games. One is going to be a direct sequel to Gears 4, so your regular run-of-the-mill Gears of War game. They've got a patent
Okay.
for a battle royale style Gears of War game, and as well they have a patent for a Halo Wars style gear game, so like a top-down strategy style game. I
I'm not
don't
sure how.
I don't care about the top-down strategy or battle royale for
Yeah,
that matter, but
yeah, me
it's
neither.
interesting that they really are doubling down. It makes me think that the VR is an option because at this point you've got to think that Microsoft's sales against Sony has got to be horrible because not only is Sony's primary library better and bigger, they have that option for gamers to have the VR if they want it. Whereas Microsoft
Yeah,
is very streamlined as you've got your yearly games like Call of Duty and sports games and shit, and then their Microsoft original products like Halo and Gears of War and stuff, they don't come out for like 5 to 6 years at a time. So what's your thoughts on the possibility of VR with Microsoft being something they showed this year?
it's a possibility. I'll say that it's a possibility. It's they there was rumors of that what VR was going to be Project Scorpio when that was a thing,
Mm-hmm.
but that ended up being the Xbox One X. And now that the One X is out and all the game developers are pushing towards the 4K and trying to make it as realistic as possible, the next step is obviously going to be VR. But is Microsoft going to be showing that off this year? That's the question. Or are they going to be just mainly showing off more games, more applications, more things that your Xbox can do, kind of thing?
Well, I think at this point they almost have to at least announce that they're working on it. Give the
Just to
Microsoft
keep
fans
up.
something to keep up with because otherwise that Sony's going to be announcing a lot of VR games and we'll get to that, but I think that that's on Sony's mind at this point. Their VR sales have been really good because it's such a inexpensive option as opposed to building your own PC that can handle the power that an Oculus or a Vive needs. It's something that you can buy it for $500 and it'll run great. I think that Microsoft really does have to show something like that, or at least give the fans something to look forward to in the years to come. Because if they don't, then that's another whole section of gamers that they're losing to Sony that just want to have that VR experience available.
Yeah.
So, last question for Microsoft to you before we move along. It's regarding Forza. Now, do you think we're going to be seeing a Horizon 3, or do you think we're going to be getting another motorsport game, or do you think we'll get something completely different?
Well, it'd be Horizon 4.
Horizon 4,
Uh,
sorry.
yeah. So pretty sure it'd be Horizon 4. I'm pretty sure. Because I think it was Motorsports 7 that was the last Forza game, that Forza like titled game. But Horizon 4 hopefully will be shown at E3. And the rumor is that it's going to be located in the UK.
Okay. That's interesting.
And if that is true, then I think it'll be very exciting because I still play a lot of Horizon 3, and that's located in Australia. Uh, I love the foreign countries. I love the different aspects. I love the feel of it. It's just I just love being able to just bore through a field and launch myself like 80 feet in the air and
Yeah,
just
in a rape van that does 400 kilometers an hour.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that Horizon's the right way to go. Not even necessarily due to release pattern. I think that the graphics still hold up on, say, like Motorsport 7. And I think fans are more in tune with the Horizon because of the open world. So
Yeah.
I think that's the way they should go with it. Now, I I definitely think they're going to be showing something at E3 with Forza on the title. I don't know what else they would do outside of those two, though.
Now, they're obviously going to show indie games a lot at E3,
Yeah,
as they
for
have in the
sure.
past. One big name that they might show is Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
I was going to touch on that, but then I decided not to talk about indie because I just don't care about them. But yeah, that's one that's probably going to get a bigger showcase than most of the other indie games that we have going, just because of how successful Ori and the Blind Forest was.
Well, it was nominated for like Game of the Year, and it won Best Art Direction, Original Adventure. It won so many awards, and was nominated for like even more kind of thing. But for Will the Wisp to like, I'm not even gonna say that Will the Wisp needs hype because it's coming off Ori and the Blind Forest, which was very successful. So Will the Wisps can just kind of ride the Blind Forest coattails almost. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And it's got its crowd too. And the thing about those ones, they're kind of like the Blumhouse of video games. Blumhouse
Yeah.
makes the cheap movies for $1 million, puts it out into 1,000 theaters, makes its money back opening night. That's the same with those kind of games. They're cheap to make, they're quality games, and people eat them up because there's something you don't have to put a lot of time into, like a Destiny or a Call of Duty or something like that. They're just
Yeah.
something you can put on and play. So I think that adds a lot of value to the company that's making them too, because they're obviously they're going to be looking at doing sequels to that again in the future.
Not only that, they're normally cheaper as well.
Yeah, and exactly.
Like
Yeah, like
almost
Ori.
half price at a full price game. So like say a full price game is 80, 90 bucks. An indie game is maybe what, 20 to 40?
Yeah, I think Ori and the Blind Forest, I got it for 35 when it first came out. So that would have been full price, and that's pretty good. I mean, obviously you're sacrificing the time that you're gonna get out of it.
Yeah.
Like if you're putting $80 or $90 Canadian dollars, we'll throw that in there. 80 or 90 Canadian dollars into, say, like a Skyrim or a Witcher, you know that there's the replay factor. There's the fact that you can just wander and do whatever the fuck you want for hours and hours. Whereas something like that, you're paying half price for it. You're not going to have that kind of value.
Okay.
So, keeping in the mind of Skyrim, let's move on to Bethesda, which is
Okay.
my favorite showcase year in, year out. I love Bethesda's conferences. They're usually delightful. Now, there's not much that I really want to talk about with them because they've already really announced the games they're showing, with a Rage 2 announcement a few months ago, and then the Fallout 76 trailer this week dropping. Um, Outside of that, what could they announce other than an Elder Scrolls game that would really catch you unexpected?
Well, it's been 3 years since Fallout 4,
Correct.
which is like the same gap between Fallout 3 and Elder Scrolls 5 Skyrim. It's maybe they can announce their Whisper open world sci-fi RPG Starfield.
Okay.
That's something to kind of keep in the back of your head. Maybe they'll finally drop that. Obviously, everyone wants a new Elder Scrolls, but I think it's too soon for that. because they're going to be working on Fallout 76. They're going to be
and they've got the new Elder Scrolls Online expansion dropping today, so they're not going to draw away from that. I don't think that's been part of the reason that they've been talking the past few years about why they haven't done that, is because the Elder Scrolls Online is doing so well. So with a brand new expansion coming out, it just doesn't seem likely that they're going to throw a new Elder Scrolls game at us, but better time than any to surprise the hell out of fans. If no one's expecting it, they could drop it. I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility to happen. It doesn't seem likely to me, because I get my hopes up every year that they'll do it, and they just haven't done it in so long. It's been, what, 8 years since Skyrim?
Yeah.
So
I have a theory. They're gonna drop, I'm gonna say, the final expansion, whatever it is, whenever it is, for Elder Scrolls Online. It's gonna lead into the next Elder Scrolls game.
Okay.
The story. It's a theory. It's a Hail Mary.
You know, that's interesting, because I was going to say the exact opposite.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because if I'm a company and I'm making a game like that, I mean, I don't play Elder Scrolls Online, but I know their following must be huge, or they wouldn't have 5 expansions for it in 3 years.
Yeah, exactly.
So I was going to say the exact opposite, is that what a way to keep Elder Scrolls Online going and then just drop the new Elder Scrolls game. People know of the Elder Scrolls. They don't need to have like an intro to it in online. Plus, that gives you that confidence that people will stay with the online and play the solo adventure kind of thing. That's the way that I thought they could maximize value out of both of them. But I get what you're saying. It's just if they really do want to keep going with Elder Scrolls Online, that's sort of the means to an end. The way that unless you didn't mean it like that, where they lead it into the new Elder Scrolls game.
Yeah, lead it into. Yeah, it's an idea. It's a theory, but we'll see where Bethesda goes with it anyway.
Yeah, for sure. And for obviously, I think they're going to be showing some more Rage 2 and Fallout 76, maybe even just details on that one. But let's move on to, I'm going to combine the next two just because there's not a lot to talk about with both of them. Square Enix and Ubisoft. So that they're both on Monday, and what do we have confirmed? We have Shadow of the Tomb Raider and Kingdom Hearts 3 for Square Enix, which that's fine. They can do those. Final Fantasy VII is rumored, the remake. Any thoughts on Square Enix, or are you in the same boat as me? You just don't give a shit about them?
Well, I haven't really been too excited with Square Enix, I'm gonna say. They didn't have much of a huge presence last year, but they might be like, they might pull out something this year. The Final Fantasy VII remake, or at least the first episode or whatever, should be one of its biggest points that they're going to make. Obviously, Kingdom Hearts 3 coming from them, Shadow of the Tomb Raider. That's about it with them. Like, that's.
Yeah, and this isn't to take anything away from them. Obviously, kudos to them to put together a team that can go and stand up with these giants like Ubisoft and Sony 100%. And shit. So they don't really have the game library that I can see that really stands out as like, whereas like a Bethesda does. Like, if they announce the new Elder Scrolls, the doors on that fucking building are gonna blow off. People will lose their minds. If they announce a new Final Fantasy, people will be happy. I don't think they're gonna be rioting in the streets.
People want the Final Fantasy VII remake. It's been announced like years ago, and it's been taking forever to put it out. See, what I want, and it's going to sound crazy and it's going to sound unrealistic, but there's a PlayStation 1 game called The Legend of Dragoon. I either want that remastered or re-released, and even a sequel remastered. I don't care. You re-release that. I will buy a PlayStation just for that game.
All right, hold on to that thought because I've got a section after we're done our little talk here about that. I got a few games listed that aren't even mentioned in the rumors that would I think would excite both of us and a lot of fans. So we'll talk about Legend of Dragoon after. Let's get through Ubisoft because again I don't care about them. So we have
Ubisoft.
We have Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed Odyssey, a new Tom Clancy Splinter Cell game, Beyond Good and Evil 2, maybe Rainbow Six Siege 2, maybe. Division 2, yeah.
And then we have Just Dance and maybe some For Honor DLC.
Yeah, that's Ubisoft. That's Ubisoft right there.
Yeah, I don't even need to talk about them. I have nothing to say. I don't want to buy any of their games ever again.
Like I'll probably end up looking into Division 2, and I'll admit I ended up buying Rainbow Six Siege. I haven't played a minute of it.
Mm-hmm.
Like apparently it's great. It's a great team game. It's apparently it's very competitive and esports and stuff. But I don't know. I haven't played like a minute of it. I have it on my Xbox. I have it like ready to play. It's just I haven't really started it up.
Which is fair. I was the same way. I have it on my PlayStation, and it's one of those games I think that it's just a lot more fun if you have a squad. So
yeah, you need
like
friends.
in the day when we played like GTA 5 together and stuff. It was only really fun if we had a full team to do heists. It was only really fun to play Duty if we had a full team that we could talk to each other. That's the same sort of deal with that. And really any first-person shooter that's coming out lately, I just haven't touched because I don't have like a squad anymore. I made the switch to Sony because of the exclusives, which is fine, but it's another one that I'm not really looking forward to. So next up, speaking of Sony, we got Sony, and they're on Monday as well. Like I said earlier, I'm not expecting huge things from them. Like they'll probably showcase Days Gone. They'll probably showcase Dreams, Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us 2, Death Stranding, and Spider-Man. And then outside of that, I'm expecting them to build their VR library and maybe see Spyro reignited. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
See, I'm kind of the other boat on that. Like, they're gonna show less because of the year they've already had with Shadow of the Colossus, God of War, Detroit Become Human. They're gonna do a deeper dive on the games that are to come. Last of Us Part 2, Death Stranding, Spider-Man. They're gonna showcase they're gonna show like longer of those games.
Yeah.
And Ghosts of Shuma, is that what it is?
Tsushima, yeah.
Yeah.
That looks fucking sweet, by the way.
So what I think, like I said, they're gonna showcase those, and they might show a few others. I don't know, but they're definitely gonna show off Spider-Man. Yes, Last of Us Part 2.
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding, yeah, but I don't know what they're gonna do for like just time filler kind of thing.
I think that'll be filled with their VR because they've made a point in the past year that they're releasing more VR games. You can see it when you walk into an EB Games. There's, instead of being 3 games you can choose, there's now 20. I think they're gonna keep on building, even if it's just like a little trailer, like, oh, look at this cool VR world game you can play. All right, we're back to Last of Us 2 kind of thing. Like a in the filler spot, I would expect smaller VR titles to get dropped. I think that's where they're going, and I like the idea of doubling down, but and I agree with you. It's just I meant like whereas I want Microsoft to showcase a lot of new stuff, like a new Halo, Gears, blah blah blah. I think that Sony's
Yeah,
just gonna showcase stuff that we know is already coming. So like the
in
list
a
that we
like yeah,
have,
yeah.
yeah, the list we have now that they've confirmed, we've saw them all last year anyway. So I think that we're in the same boat on that one. It was just a miscommunication on my part. I just meant they were not going to show as much new stuff as like Microsoft. What do you
So do
think
you
about
want?
what do you think about Spyro?
I'm excited for Spyro. I grew up on Spyro. I I want Spyro to like obviously it gives people that nostalgia feeling. And any new games that like any of the old games that are getting remastered obviously give people that nostalgia feeling like Crash Bandicoot or Spyro. People were gonna play them because of that, like remembering their childhood and growing up off this, and uh, it's it's going to be good. I'm going to say if done right.
Yes, yeah, I agree.
If done right, it's going to be really good. From what I've seen so far, it looks great.
Yeah, the little gameplay comparison trailer they showed looked really good to me, I thought.
Yeah, yeah.
I got a question for you actually here while we're talking about Sony and VR.
Okay.
If what game could they announce outside of Legend of Dragoon that if you let's say you own a PlayStation, what game
Okay.
could they announce for VR that's making you buy a VR?
Ooh.
Is there anything that sticks out or any even any games that they currently have that you're like, "Oh, it'd be cool to try."
See the gamer side of me and the kind of humor side of me makes me want to say Borderlands.
That would be
Uh,
interesting. That'd be very
because
interesting.
I've been playing Borderlands 2. I've been playing Borderlands 2 since its original release date.
Yeah.
And I ended up buying Borderlands. Let's see here. I bought it for the Xbox 360. I bought the Handsome Collection, which is just the Borderlands 2 and the pre-sequel with all the DLC remastered for the Xbox One. I bought that twice. I bought Borderlands 2 for my PC, and that's so I bought it 4 times, 4 different times.
Holy shit. So you're clamoring
And
for Borderlands. Well, we'll talk about that because that's on my list as well for games that could blow the doors off the place. So I've got one in my mind that they announced a few years ago that hasn't seen the light of day yet, and I think it's just because the technology hasn't been there. That's the new Ace Combat. It's supposedly going to be
I was
in
about to say
VR.
Ace Combat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be
that just
interesting.
came to my mind. Ace Combat. Yeah.
That would be really cool. I think if they did that, and because they've already got Gran Turismo Sport, which is VR, so it's really cool too. I played that the other day. Um, but I think Ace Combat would bring a lot of people in just because it would be cool. I don't know if there's any other ones that really stand out to me. I mean, Resident Evil 7 was a good idea. That
It was a different take. It was I'm gonna say I wouldn't say it was revolutionary, but it definitely brought people into VR.
yeah, for sure. Let's see. Okay, we'll move on to Nintendo. We can touch on that shit if we think of something in the meantime, but let's round it out with Nintendo.
So
Any thoughts on what they'll show?
Obviously, they're going to show Super Smash Brothers for the Switch.
Hmm.
Uh, New Star Fox game, potentially called Star Fox Grand Prix. Metroid Prime 4.
Hmm.
There's going to be a Kirby Switch game, a Yoshi Switch game. Excuse me. Defender's Quest. I'm not quite sure what that's going to be. Monster Hunter. I played Monster Hunter. I think it was Monster Hunter Ultimate 3, I think it was, for the Nintendo DS. And I got into it, honestly. It was pretty much just little guy, big weapon, huge monsters. I loved it. I love the concept of it. It was so for Monster Hunter Generations Ultimate on the Switch. They don't need it. It has its following.
Right. It's got its niche audience as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And then okay, so I'm going to ask you Roller Coaster Tycoon Switch. Your
Hmm.
thoughts?
Well, I think it's a good idea, and I think it's a good idea because those games are super super cheap to make. So it's not going to be hard from a business standpoint. It's not going to be hard for them to make their money back on an investment like that. As well as they used to be fun games. I remember playing, I think, the second or third one on PC when I was a kid. Um,
Yeah.
so they used to be fun. I mean, they're again, this is another one of the titles it's got its niche audience, and by that I mean there is a small group of people that are really, really, really wanting this. Especially,
Yeah.
it would have
Hardcore
been
thing.
a bit more, I think, well received if it was PC because then that's where most of the games go to for this series. But obviously they
But
must
the
have some sort of following for the Switch and Nintendo and Roller Coaster Tycoon, otherwise they wouldn't have announced it. So from a business standpoint, I think it's a good idea. From a gaming standpoint, I don't care about it because I don't own a Switch and I'm not buying one to play Roller Coaster Tycoon. What do you think about it?
see like Roller Coaster Tycoon and the makers Atari, they lost a lot. I'm pretty sure they lost a lot of money making Roller Coaster Tycoon World.
Okay.
It wasn't what people wanted it to be. And it was released around the time of other amusement park simulations. And it just didn't do as well as they would have hoped. So for them to re-release Roller Coaster Tycoon for the Switch, if it is like the first one, I'm not see something triggered in my mind. Like it could Roller Coaster Tycoon for the Switch could be a whole other like game, which I don't think it's going to be. I think it's just going to be like a Roller Coaster Tycoon, like the very first Roller Coaster Tycoon, just on the Switch.
See, if it's like that, then I think they're thinking correctly. Because that game, it's simple, yet it's effective. It's sort of in the same vein as The Sims for me, where it's like it's simple. It's a really simple game when it comes down to it. It's really easy to build. It's not like a Witcher or something like that that takes like years and years and years to make.
Yeah.
But it looks good, it runs good, and the experience when you play it is good. So why wouldn't they do it? Especially with like the success of games like Death Road Through Canada for Switch, stuff like that. The smaller games for Switch are really booming right now. So if they're releasing something like that on a smaller stage, I think that it could definitely pay off for them.
So for do you think that Roller Coaster Tycoon will be more successful on the Switch than the PC?
I don't think so. I think that I think that PC for that style of game is really good fit. Just because it's got that sort of strategy element to it, and most strategy games don't pan out on console. Something like XCOM Files, the alien strategy game for Xbox. I think that it's more suited for PC. It's where it kind of began, and there's just a lot more you can do with the PC. I
Yeah.
I think it'll do fine for Switch though. I'm not trying. I don't think that it's going to be some major failure. I don't think they would even rumor it to be at E3 if it's not going to be some sort of selling point for them. Maybe something to do with like the Labo. I have no idea.
Okay.
Um, I wanted to touch on a few that weren't you didn't mention there that aren't confirmed. Um,
Pokemon.
yes, that's what I was gonna go. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not talking Switch
So
though. I'm talking DS. I think there's a new set of Pokemon Twins coming to the DS, and I think they're gonna get announced alongside with the Pokemon Switch game.
okay, yeah. So
Because
like
it feels like it would be the right time to do it, especially with companies like Sony and Microsoft have already busted their load on exclusives and shit like that. Why not give your biggest moneymaker two sets of different games?
yeah. So do you think that the Switch, like, do you think they'll release a normal, I'll say a normal Pokemon game on the Switch?
I don't think so, and I don't know why, but I just don't think so. I've been clamoring for that for years. I swear to God, if they did do that, just a generic Pokemon game on the Switch with like cool graphics, like the new one has cool graphics from the trailer we saw, and it looks different. It's just it's like, hey, here's Pokemon Go on your Switch. If they did like something classic, like let's say like even a Pokemon Gold, like a remaster of that
Yeah,
on the
on a
Switch,
console.
I'm buying
Yeah.
a fucking Nintendo Switch. That's one game that if they announced and did it good, I would definitely buy a Switch to play. Zelda, I don't really care about Zelda Breath of the Wild. Not going to buy a Switch. Smash Bros, not going to buy a Switch. New Pokemon game, you've got me eyeing a console. What about you?
See, I'm on board with exactly what you said. Like, if they either release a standalone normal Pokemon game on the console, or if they re-release one of the older Pokemon games, I'll look into getting a Nintendo Switch. I've never been too into the Zelda games. Metroid, not so much. The only time I'll play Super Smash Bros. Is if I have friends around.
Hmm.
That's like the really only time you can play it, right?
Yeah, it's definitely like a couch co-op game, and I don't. It's easier with the Switch because they have the online ability. So I
Yeah,
think they're gonna do really good on sales for that one. Like same with even the Wii U version and the Wii version. Um, whereas
yeah.
like the classic ones, it's like you have to have people there to play with you. Otherwise, it's just you against the computer, and it's fucking dumb. So
All right.
we'll move on from those then. So that's the confirmed and the rumored games that are going to be at E3 this year. I've got another little section here that are ones that I've sort of put together that have either been confirmed before E3 and don't have like a showcase section, or ones that I'm thinking we might see as like, hey guys, look at this shit, and then people lose their fucking minds.
All right.
So let's start off with we'll start off with Legend of Dragoon for you. Give me
Okay.
I never played it, so give me a rundown of what exactly it was about. Give me a rundown of what you would like in a remaster. What's going to sell you on a PS4 if they were to do something like that, like a remaster of it?
Okay. So It is a turn-based battle game. The best way people best describe The Legend of Dragoon as a Final Fantasy VII ripoff.
Okay.
And it pains me to say that because I was all for The Legend of Dragoon. It takes place first the main character Dart. He comes from a village called Sales, and Sales ends up getting pillaged by the commander. He's called, and it's from order from Emperor Dole to pillage his land. And you now have to defeat the commander and go on a quest to find the emperor, find out why your land just got pillaged, find out why the emperor is killing all these people, and meanwhile you find out about all these different dragoons, they're called, that existed years like in ancient history.
Are they dragons?
No? Yeah, but
Yeah.
they have the spirit of dragons. But when I'm gonna say transform into dragoon mode, you get wings.
Okay.
And your attacks become super powerful. You get dragoon attacks, dragoon magic. It's just a super cool thing that they added into the game. So for once Dart gets his dragoon, each dragoon has its own different dragon spirit. Darts, the main character, is the red-eye fire dragon.
Okay.
Lavitz, his best friend and head of the knighthood, his is the green. I forget. It's the green dragon. Green tusk dragon Freybrand. So the green tusk dragon Freybrand is one of the final bosses on disc 1. The Legend of Dragoon was a 4-disc game for the PS1. This was like almost never heard of at the time. So Freybrand and Graham was the tamer of the Green Tusk Dragon. That was the final boss on disc 1. If you could beat them, you move on. You obviously move on to disc 2, and you get Lavitz's dragoon spirit. Moving on to disc 2, that's when you meet Emperor Dole. Emperor Dole is the final boss on disc 2, and that's when you find out why Emperor Dole is slaughtering all these people and why he's being such an asshole and evil and such a dick. And that is because he just wants to.
Okay, classic bad guy twirling his mustache. He wants
yeah,
to
yeah.
be
He just feels like screw these guys kind of thing. Yeah, screw these guys. I'm the emperor. You do what I say. Bow to me. So if you defeat Emperor Dole, you move on to disc 3. Disc 3 is full of. I'm gonna say this might be the filler disc of the bunch, because you end up going on a phantom ship. You end up going to a beach village. You end up kind of retracing your steps on old villages, stuff like that. So it's kind of the filler disc. Disc 4 is where pick up and where things obviously finally end. Throughout the game, the characters constantly mention about the moon that never sets. And the moon that never sets is the final place that you go for the Legend of Dragoon, and you have to fight Dart's father. And Dart's father was head of the Wingly army that fought against the Dragoon army in ancient past. So in order to get to the final boss, whose name is Malibu Frema, you have to defeat, I think it's 2 other bosses without saving, and it is very tough. If you make it past the first boss and take a lot of damage, you're not getting past the second boss. So you need to be smart, use your items and resources when you absolutely need them, kind of thing.
Mhm.
And if you make it past the first boss and the second boss, Malibu Frema is an absolute nightmare. It's not easy. It's one of the more challenging bosses I've ever had to face in a game, like in any game for that matter. And it has multiple stages to it. But if you build a straight out massive damage combination, because you have 3 people in combat at a time, like on your
Right.
team, you might be able to do good. Might. So to answer long story short, too late. For Sony to what I'd want for Sony to announce a Legend of Dragoon, either remaster or sequel, just really update the graphics. If they're doing a remaster, update the graphics and really hype it up, because it still has a huge following for this game, and it's a PlayStation 1 game.
Really? Okay, so that brings me, I guess, I had a question there in the middle of your explanation. So I was going to ask about the following of the game because from the way you described it as like a rip-off of Final Fantasy VII, it would have made sense to me that they didn't do a remaster or like a sequel because Final Fantasy just kept going. So I was like, okay, well, if if you love it this much, there has to be some sort of following behind it. So is the
Well,
do you think that
uh,
the base is there realistically? Do you think the base is there for fans that want another one of these games?
well, there's a part of me that wants the remaster or sequel of The Legend of Dragoon, but I think we're better. Like, if they do remaster it or even make a sequel years down the road, or even now for that matter, what will it be? Like, what would
Yeah.
it look like? What would it be? What would it entail? Like, would it be what we want, kind of thing? So we have all these questions, and like doubt slips into your mind of like what it's gonna be. It's as much as we want it, maybe leave it buried in the past. Like, it's a tough thing. It's a hard pill to swallow, but
So you're almost at
it's
the point of like a Back to the Future where you'd like to see another one, but you don't want them to tarnish the game that you love.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense to me. Now, what I'll do is I'll say I don't think that's going to happen. I don't see it happening, especially with the news that Final Fantasy VII Remake is probably going to be there. It would seem too coincidental if they were to do something like that. I'm not against the idea, but I just think the timing might not be quite right.
Yeah.
We'll talk about another couple games here. So two of them that I think we're obviously going to see that just don't have a panel is Red Dead 2 and the new NBA game slash WWE from 2K Games.
Okay.
We don't really have to talk much about them. We've got enough hype going for Red Dead, and the other two, they're not really big on my mind. But a couple more here that I had written down after doing some research, and I wanted to get your thoughts on. So, how would you feel, and do you think it's in the realm of possibility that we could get GTA 6?
We could be seeing what, sorry?
GTA 6.
Uh, I don't think so. Maybe I'm going to say next year because Rockstar has been teasing Red Dead 2. And like, obviously, it's been. When did GTA 5 come out?
It's a good question. It's been a while.
Uh, it was originally released in 2013. And see here, 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So 5 years. It's I'm gonna say next year. I'm gonna say next year they show something off for Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yeah, fair enough.
But
That's what I think as well. It's
I,
it's too close to Red Dead, as well as the following behind GTA 5 Online is obviously still there because it's doing crazy numbers lately. Most profitable video game ever made. So I don't think they're gonna want to take away from that quite yet. I think they'll do Red Dead, see what the turnaround for players is on GTA 5, and then we'll talk about that a bit more next year probably.
yeah, for sure. I Do you think they'll end up doing DLC for GTA 5 or 6, like kind of like the Liberty City Stories or the Ballad of Gay Tony or anything like that?
Um, that's interesting. I never even thought about that because that's definitely something they could do. But I don't know if they will because you think back when those ones came out, the online portion of GTA wasn't really existent. They were more an extra single player expansion you could play kind of thing.
Yeah.
Whereas the main focus for them right now is going to be the online because that's what's getting them the money. Um, Another expansion for online is definitely possible with something with a storyline. I think that's definitely something that they've been working on. Now, I don't know about like an offline expansion for that in the vein of like a Ballad of Gay Tony and stuff like that. What do you think about it?
Uh, they originally rumored for a standalone DLC campaign for GTA 5, but I think they squashed that idea and went with their golden hen, which is their multiplayer, as you mentioned. Uh, I'd like to see more of the GTA 5 campaign. I think the single player campaign for GTA 5 was fantastic. I still play through it. There's I wish it was longer, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with you there. But I mean, from a business standpoint, I'm focusing more on the online. Whereas, like you said, they did something revolutionary with it that really gets swept under the rug, and that's the three people, three main characters in the
Yeah,
story,
yeah, yeah.
and no one talks about that. I remember playing that for the first time on 360 and being like, oh, that's really unique. That's really cool that they're doing this. It's interweaved, and all the stories come together. So do you think they could maybe even add an extra character that has something to do with the story that's already happened in GTA 5 and just add on to it with another character, and obviously Michael and the rest of them be playable as well?
See, with in GTA 4 with Nico and Roman, they Rockstar did with the McCreary family. Not sure if you remember those guys,
It's been a while.
But what they did, they included a little quick action store robbery scene in GTA 5 with Patrick or Packy McCreary, where you can have him as, if you help him out, he joins your crew for the heist.
I don't remember that. So they've been sort of hinting at it then.
No, he's already he's in the game, like GTA 5. You just have to activate the quick action door robbery thing, and if you help him out and get him away from the police, you can add him as a crew member for your heists.
Oh, okay. That's neat. I did not know that. What
So
do you think he's possible that they'll do like a storyline for him or no?
No, I don't think he's a big enough character. Like he was really likable in the Grand Theft Auto 4. He was like really likable in that. I think that's why they brought him back in Grand Theft Auto 5, because he was such a staple character. But I doubt they're going to make an entire campaign about him.
Okay. Well, let's move on. We've got a couple from CD Projekt Red that they don't have a booth now. They've already announced that Cyberpunk 2077 will be at E3, and I'd imagine it to be at either Microsoft or Sony. Outside of that, they do have another game coming out that is untitled, and obviously this is the people that made the Witcher franchise. So nobody really knows what the game's going to be, but do you think that it's possible they announce it at E3?
As for like their untitled game?
Yeah.
Possibly either like it could be an entirely new IP or like a never before seen game kind of thing, or Witcher 4 maybe.
Do you think they'll show it at E3?
That'd be the place to show it. I'd say.
I agree.
It's again like Witcher 3. It was good. It was a great game. I don't know. Were they the same people that made that Gwent game?
Well, they would have been the studio in charge of it, but I don't think they personally made it. No.
Okay, because Gwent that kind of hit the bricks on that one.
Yeah. For sure.
So if the untitled game is Witcher 4, I think it'll do well.
I think it's fair to say that it's. I think it's fair to say that it is Witcher because they've already got Cyberpunk 2077, which is another IP of theirs. So why not go back to the fucking cash cow, as it were, and make another one? That would really excite people, I think, and get people invested. Even just like a teaser trailer with Geralt or something like that. Any other thoughts on those two, or not really? Not really your cup of tea?
Yeah, I'm not too excited for like. I'm not overly excited with what they have to come out with. Like, I'll play their games. Like, they're really in depth. They're really I'll play them. I'll say that. Like
Yeah.
it, it'll take a lot for me to get excited for them.
Okay. What about? Do you know who Rocksteady Games is? Any idea?
No, I don't
They're
know who
the
they are.
they're the company that made the Batman Arkham trilogy, and they've been working on a
Made what, sorry?
project. They made the Batman Arkham video games,
Okay, okay.
and they've been working on a new project since Arkham Knight came out a few years ago. Now, people are
Yeah.
thinking it's going to be a new Batman game or possibly a Superman game. And then I had a bright idea the other day that I think is hilarious because they're partnered with Warner Brothers, so any of Warner Brothers properties is really something they could adapt into a video game. So I thought it's probably going to be Batman or Superman, but what if it was Harry Potter? What if they made like a real life style Harry Potter video game?
It's possible. It's entirely possible. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about that. I feel the Harry Potter craze is past. Well, I shouldn't say it's past because they keep putting out these uh, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them or Fantastic Beast series
Yeah, yep.
because that's just a Harry Potter spin-off.
Correct. So what if they made something
And
spinning off of Harry Potter into like a video game a la Dark Knight or a la Batman? I don't know if it would work. I don't think it would work. I think they got to stick with Batman. That's what's
no,
making the money.
I
So I'm
I
expecting a
think
new
their best.
Batman.
I think I think as what you said with Batman or Superman
Yeah,
for Rocksteady. Uh, I think the a Superman game would be really neat.
be hard though.
Very
No,
interesting. Yeah,
be hard to make.
yeah.
Because I mean, what would be the challenge? He's basically invincible unless someone's got kryptonite walking around the entire fucking video game. You're not you're not taking any damage. There's no need for a health bar. What about we'll round it off here with one that I saved to the end because I know it's near and dear to your heart and a lot of fans' hearts. Um, Borderlands 3. What if they start the Microsoft conference? It's pitch black, and you see handsome Jack is his name, right?
Handsome Jack.
What if you see handsome Jack's face, and then the room goes fucking bananas? Are you expecting
Okay.
Borderlands 3 or are you expecting them to hold off for another year?
So a few weeks ago, I was livid. Like this entire year, I was paying attention to each gaming expo, uh, expecting something like tease like Borderlands 3 or this or that, like a trailer to drop. I've been watching PAX and like every single gaming expo just to see if something about Borderlands 3 got announced. Nothing. All that Randy Pitchford, the CEO of Gearbox, all he said is that we're working on it. We're not going to say much. Just know that we're working on it. So, a few weeks ago, it was revealed that a AAA title from 2K is going to be delayed until 2020. And a AAA title being either Borderlands or a new Bioshock game. And nothing's been said about a new Bioshock game yet. So chances are Borderlands 3 is getting pushed back to 2020. And they said they're not going to be at this year's E3, which made me absolutely livid because that was the one reason I was actually wanting to watch E3 this year is for Borderlands 3. But they've been so with Gearbox's failed game of Battleborn,
Mm-hmm.
they put in little Easter eggs, as they're called, into Battleborn for the new Borderlands game. And one of the DLC maps of Battleborn, if you look through a fence into like a closed off area that's outside the map, you can see a vault symbol, like the Borderlands vault symbol, with the word Promethea. Promethea is the planet that Atlas originally mined for iridium, and that's where they got their fortune. And it's rumored that's where Borderlands 3 is going to take place. So if that's so, and at the end of Borderlands 2, Lilith, the siren, she opens the vault key and it sends a beam up into the air and projects all these different planets with vaults on them. So we're definitely going to a new planet. We're not staying on Pandora as with Borderlands 2. We're going to a new planet. It's rumored to be Promethea. And the villain, I'll touch on that. The villain, Randy Pitchford said that Patricia Tannis isn't as she seems. So it's said that she's like insane. But it's never really revealed how insane she is or how crazy she is. So if she is the main protagonist or villain in the number 3, I don't know how I feel about that because she was definitely helpful in the second one. She was more of like a more side quest person. I loved Handsome Jack as a villain in the second one. The way he mixed the villainy with humor, with anguish and dismay and just genuine disappointment. Like it was just absolutely like a masterpiece of just how they made Borderlands 2. I can't get over how they did it. It was really never before seen.
Right. Now, I'll level with you a little bit.
So for them to do
is I've never played either of them. Any of them, I should say. I have not even attempted to play any of them. I love the art style. It looks really cool. I've just never really gotten into it. So you're the one that would know a lot more about this than I would.
So for them to do another standalone Borderlands game, as Randy Pitchford said before, it's going to have to be the big one.
Right.
Because like there was obviously Borderlands 1, Borderlands 2, and then the pre-sequel. The pre-sequel didn't do as well. It did well, but not as well as the other two. The pre-sequel told the story of how Handsome Jack became Handsome Jack. What sold me on the pre-sequel was actually one of the DLC characters, because you could play as Handsome Jack. One of the characters is a Handsome Jack doppelganger, and it made uh, little humorous uh, little humorous comebacks as Handsome Jack was talking, like not your character, but actually Handsome Jack,
Oh, so like
because
a
you're
like
kind
a
of
meta handsome Jack then, someone making like jokes about himself kind of thing.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So like Handsome Jack, he's looking at a picture of himself and you're like, oh my God, I'm so handsome. And like if you're as playing as the doppelganger Jack, he'll be like, it's getting a little uncomfortable now talking about myself. So it's just little quips like that that help make the game complete. And then not like it's just the whole art form of it, like the art style, the cell shading, it's just the obviously it's the cartooniness of it.
Yeah,
I don't
and
know.
I really like the art style. I think it's really cool. Um, question for you then was, did you play the Telltale Borderlands then, or no?
One of my favorites. One of my favorites.
Is it canon in the Borderlands universe, or is it sort of adjacent?
So I'm gonna you haven't played it, have you?
I haven't played any Borderlands.
Okay, so I'm gonna I'm gonna disclaim now, spoiler alert for people who haven't played or watched the playthrough of Tales from the Borderlands.
Oh, you
So
didn't give a spoiler alert for Legend of Dragoon.
if you haven't played The Legend of Dragoon yet, you're not going to.
You're correct. Okay, go on with your spoiler analysis there.
Okay, so for the Tales of the Borderlands, at the end of Borderlands 2, you kill Handsome Jack. But he saves his AI in a USB stick that the main character Reese inserts into his mind with his cybernetic eye, and now Handsome Jack is in his mind and able to control his movements and stuff. So you go through the entire game of either trying to pretend Handsome Jack isn't real or telling your friends like, yeah, this is Handsome Jack. Like he is a AI inside my head. I don't know what the fuck to do. I'm very nervous about this. Uh, it's it's a great game. If they decide to take that route, if they decide to include Tales from the Borderlands storyline into the main Borderlands like storyline, then there are people that will need to know what happens uh, because the mechanic Scooter, he unfortunately takes his own. Well, I shouldn't say takes his own life, but ends up dying in order to save the rest of the cast, the rest of the characters in the game. He ends up blowing up. He detaches a space rocket from the spaceship and has to ride it down and blows up. That's how he goes. If they include that in the main Borderlands 3 campaign, then it's going to have to be either Jenny Springs, the kind of mechanic from the pre-sequel, or it's going to be a new mechanic. And I don't know if they would actually be kind of okay with it. Like, I don't know if people, the fans would be okay with how that would go. I think they would. I think it should just be Jenny Springs as the mechanic, so that they're not like ruffling any feathers.
Okay. Yeah, like I said, man, I'm not well versed in it, so we'll take your word on it there. Um, I think when it comes to the section about when you said they would push one of their games to 2020, I'm thinking that's going to be BioShock. They've already
I
got
don't.
they've already got another game similar to BioShock coming out next year. I'm not. I don't think they're going to be announcing a new BioShock, especially after like Infinity or Infinite didn't go over so well. Um, I honestly, man, I would get your hopes up because I think they're going to show Borderlands 3. I know they said
I
they
don't
weren't
know.
going
Like,
to, but again, same idea as Elder Scrolls. Best time is the better time than never, I guess. They've got people not expecting it. You might
if
as
they
well
end up
blow people's
announcing,
minds.
if they do end up announcing Borderlands 3 at this year's E3, then I'll take back any mean things I have to say about Gearbox and 2K. Like, I am one of the biggest fans, honestly. Like, I put easily 3 months gameplay into Borderlands 2 on the 360 with one of our friends. And then I'm still playing the Handsome Collection on the Xbox One. I'm still playing Borderlands 2 with PC friends. So for them to finally announce Borderlands 3 couldn't have been like it can't be like couldn't have come at a better time, I guess.
Yeah. Well, what I'll say to wrap everything up here is I think we're in for another, run of the mill year. I'm not expecting any crazy announcements. I mean, obviously, I think the big ones would be if they did announce GTA 6, if they did announce a new Elder Scrolls and Borderlands 3, the internet's gonna fucking break. Reddit's gonna be shut down. People are gonna be fucking losing their minds. But with that in mind, I don't expect any of those. It's just some of them it's too soon. Some of them I just don't. It wouldn't make sense from a business point. But thanks a lot for coming on the show, man, and we'll wrap it up here for everybody. We're just over an hour and a bit here, just under an hour and a half actually. So yeah, stay tuned for some more podcasts coming out from Lightyear here, and it'll be usually just be me and Chris. Maybe have some special guests come on once in a while, talk about some movies, video games, and stuff like that. Thanks so much for putting some time in here, Chris, and coming on and talking with me about this sort of shit.
Oh, I love it. It's something that we both have a passion for, and it's just something that we both enjoy talking about.
Absolutely, dude. So, yeah, everybody just give us a like, a subscribe, a share, comment below. Let us know what you guys think about E3 this year. What are you expecting to see? What games would blow your mind if they announced? From Lightyear Productions, this is Corey Phillips signing off with Chris Orth. Have yourselves a great day.